Hello guys, 2 weeks into the lockdown gains program and we're on to the last workout of week 2 and it's a leg workout. I know you can't wait for this. So it starts with a A1, which is a banded hip hinge. So you see me performing it with a band around my hips and it's fixed to the door handles. Move away, you can do it standing, you can do it kneeling. You move away until you've got some tension on the band, and then I'm going to be hinging at the hips and then driving through my hips back into an upright position, squeezing my butt cheeks. It starts with a 30-second static hold and then moving in after that to 20 reps. Nice and controlled, concentrating on the squeeze at the top of the movement. If you don't have a band or you don't want to do it the way I've set it up, you could do it on your back and do it in a glute bridge position, either body weight or maybe adding a little bit of, a tiny bit of extra load to the hip area to just make it that little bit harder. And you'd still do a 30-second hold and 20 reps. So that was A1 of the workout. Moved on to B1 and B2. So B1 was so I used a band. So it's a Staggered Stance RDL. I used the band under my foot and then into the hand on the same side? Yeah, same side hand. You see from the demo in a second, I'm using the resistance of the band to increase the difficulty of the movement. You're going to do both legs separately. So I stand in a staggered stance this way and do my reps, and then I change the stance and then I do the reps on the second side as well. You're going to feel it, you should feel it more on the front foot. Whichever foot is at the front, that is the foot that you are working, or the leg that you are working, but you should feel it on the leg that's at the front of the movement. Depending on the band that you have, you might need to double it over, you might need to loop it over your arms, you might need to pull it around your head to find the sufficient amount of extra load. If you don't have a band, then you could just do it with a more typical kind of loading as you would a normal RDL, maybe hands, like so if you've got dumbbells or a kettlebell or a bar maybe over the back. You're just going to have to be a bit more imaginative if you don't have the exact band to do it the same way as I did. It's a 10-second negative on that movement for 5 reps each leg. So I start at the top of the movement with the maximum amount of resistance if I'm using a band, that is, because it's obviously harder to pull the band at the top of the movement than it is at the bottom. Hold the band, come down for 10 seconds, all the way down to as low as you're going to go in the movement, and then come back up to the top of the movement. 5 reps each leg, 10-second down. And that's back to back on the B2 with a single leg hip thrust. So we're going to go, you'll see me set up on the demo. I've actually got my foot elevated, so this is to make the movement harder because I'm enabling myself to get below what would be floor level, so I'm getting increased range of movement. So that would be the hardest variation. If you can't do that, you could just do the foot on the floor, and that's going to reduce the range of movement to make the movement slightly easier. If that's still too hard for the tempo that I'm going to explain, then you could do it with a slightly staggered stance. So you have the foot that you're working flat as if you were doing it single leg, but then you're going to have the other foot slightly forward. So this would be one foot, the other foot slightly forward, and just the heel on the floor, just to take that little bit of extra weight out of the working side, just to kind of reduce the body weight that's going through that single leg. So that's an option as well. And obviously you do it with your staggered stance as you do the RDL. So the tempo on the hip thrust is a 5 count down, a 5 count up, and a 5 count hold at the top. So each rep takes 15 seconds. And you're going to do, I think we did, 5 reps either side on that as well. So we're going to do, sorry, I forgot to mention, A1 is 4 sets, B1, B2 back to back for 4 sets. And then we move on to C, which was a frog pump, which is like a glute bridge, except we have the soles of the feet together and the knees dropping out wide. You'll see from the demo how to perform it. We're going to go 25 reps on that. If you want to make it a little bit harder, you can put, again, a dumbbell or something, a backpack with something in it over your hips to make it a little bit harder. We're then going to go increase range of movement, side lying abductions. It's a long, complicated word. It basically just means you lie on the bed and move your leg up sideways. You'll see from the demo. We're going to go 20 each side on that. And then we're going to go Spanish squats. So it's a bit like a sissy squat in feeling, in terms of it, you feel it more in your quads. It looks like a box squat, as in we're sitting our hips back. So from the angle that I took it from, it wasn't great. You can't see that I'm sitting my hips back. But the band goes around the back of the knees, around your door frame, and the band needs to be sufficient to be able to hold most of your body weight. And you sit your hips, so as I'm standing, can't do it without the band, but I sit my hips back like this, as opposed to dropping forward like that. And then when I get to the top of the movement, I'm sure to squeeze my quads and lock my legs as hard as I can, so I'm pushing the back of my knee back into the band, and that instigates the kind of the sensation of the quads doing some work. We're going to go 20 reps on that. If you don't have a band that you can perform the Spanish squats, then I would suggest you either do the sissy squats from one of the previous leg workouts. Don't do 20 reps, do maybe 8 to 10. Or we do box squats. So if you're not familiar with box squats, then maybe Google it, or basically a box squat is where I don't want to get into too much detail, but a box squat is where we sit back onto a box. So again, like I said, our hips are moving back and the box catches our weight, and then we stand up here. Just basically shifting more weight onto the back of the legs, more onto the hamstrings and the glutes than the quads. But I can do a video about that maybe in the future. So that was C section. So C1 frog pumps for 25 reps, C2 side lying abductions for 20 reps each leg, and C3 is Spanish squats or deep knee bends or sissy squats or something of that nature. If it's the Spanish squats, it's 20 reps. If it's a harder movement, then maybe drop it down to 8 to 10 reps. And we did 4 sets of that. So that's your leg workout. Let us know how you get on.